Nick proposed to Kate during their final year of college. They got engaged and spent a whole year planning before finally tying the knot the following fall. Right after, they both found jobs in their chosen fields. Nick's career quickly gained momentum, while Kate faced a series of setbacks. She bounced from one job to another, and even tried switching careers, but nothing seemed to fit. Seeing her struggle, Nick made the decision to shoulder the financial burden alone, giving Kate the space and time she needed to figure things out. Kate, thankful for her husband's support and freedom, began to look for new opportunities. However, she hesitated to return to teaching at the art school, despite Nick's suggestion. Her experience there had been less than positive, and she wasn't ready to revisit it. As months passed, Kate's job search continued, but her drive started to fade. Nick didn't mind that she wasn't working. She managed the household and brought warmth to their relationship, and they were happy with the arrangement. This was a stark contrast to some of their friends, who struggled with the pressure of both partners working. From time to time, Nick would ask Kate about her job hunt. She'd casually mention a few possible leads, but her enthusiasm seemed to wane. Nick also noticed that she was spending more time with friends and chatting on the phone. Even though he had his doubts, he chose to trust his wife and didn't pry. He believed that if something was really wrong, he'd be able to sense it. At some point, Nick found himself caught in a tough spot at work. He was often staying late, sometimes even bringing his laptop home. One day, however, in the midst of a busy day, he left it at the office, only realizing his mistake when he got home. With no other option, Nick decided to use Kate's laptop, as she wasn't around. Without asking her, he logged into his email on her computer. While browsing, he noticed that one of the tabs had a social media page open where Kate often received messages. Nick felt a pull between his curiosity and his better judgment, which told him it wasn't right to snoop. Despite his efforts to ignore the constant stream of notifications, his curiosity eventually got the better of him. He clicked on Kate's profile. What he found there left him completely stunned. As he read through her messages, a sinking feeling took over. It was clear that something wasn't right. Nick found conversation after conversation between Kate and various men. Some of the things he read made him feel sick, his mind racing with questions he wasn't ready to answer. He clicked on one of the recent chats, where a man named Alexander was pouring compliments on Kate. Scrolling up, he found a naked photo of her, followed by videos with explicit content. His heart raced as he continued to open more conversations, each one revealing the same disturbing pattern: photos, videos, and messages from men who were not only praising her but also asking for more. Panicking, Nick quickly closed everything and tried to restore the laptop to its original state, hoping Kate wouldn't suspect anything. But now, the pieces of the puzzle clicked into place. He understood why Kate had been spending all her time at home and had shown no interest in finding a job. Overwhelmed by what he had just discovered, Nick sat there at the table, his hands gripping his head as his heart seemed to pound painfully in his chest. A part of him wished it was all just a nightmare and that he hadn't seen what he just had. But deep down, he knew his eyes hadn't betrayed him. As he sat there, the shock slowly giving way to something darker. A plan for revenge started to form in Nick's mind. Several days later, after the dust had settled, he created a fake profile under a different name, using someone else's photos. The pictures depicted a handsome man with a great physique. His goal was to lure Kate back in, to gain her trust once more. In less than a month, Nick had been messaging Kate every day, showing interest in her life. He even took the bold step of asking about her relationship status. Kate, without thinking much, lied, saying that she and her husband were just living together as friends, with no real connection between them. When Nick read this, he was left speechless. He couldn't believe Kate could deceive him like this. He had always thought their marriage was built on trust and strength. Nick deliberately avoided asking for any photos, but one day Kate sent him a picture of herself in a provocative pose on their shared bed. It was at that moment that Nick realized there was no turning back. No matter how much pain and betrayal he felt, he had to get over it. Introducing himself as another man, he convinced his wife to meet. Kate hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. "And how do you recognize me?" Nick asked, feeling his heart pounding. Kate replied half-jokingly, "I'll put on my cloak, naughty boy, you'll find me yourself." Promising that she would follow his instructions. Nick could hardly believe his ears. These were his own wife's words. The day of their meeting arrived. As Nick left for work that morning, he casually asked Kate about her plans for the day. She mentioned meeting up with some girlfriends in the evening. Nick couldn't help but chuckle bitterly, knowing the truth. He had chosen a busy spot for their confrontation, a park, where he'd blend in with the crowd, cloaked in a black hoodie. Nick waited nervously, his emotions all over the place, torn between confronting Kate or walking away. Then, finally, he saw her. Kate appeared uneasy, walking slowly, scanning the area. She wore a cloak, loosely tied around her waist, and made her way to the park bench beneath the clock, where they had agreed to meet. Nick waited a moment before emerging from his hiding spot. With his hood obscuring his face, he approached her with quiet confidence. The instant Kate saw him, her face twisted with shock, and she stumbled, grabbing the bench for support. Nick's voice was quiet, but full of suppressed rage. "You were waiting for someone else with her. How could you, a married woman, deceive me for so long? I can't believe this is really happening." He demanded an explanation, but Kate couldn't. Kate stammered, her face pale. "Nick, I can explain." He let out a dry laugh. "Explain? What's left to explain, Kate? You've been lying to my face, sending pictures to strangers, and now you're here, meeting one." His voice was steady, but his hands were clenched into fists. Tears welled up in Kate's eyes. "It wasn't. Don't." Nick cut her off. "I've seen everything. I know everything. I even know what you told him, that we're just friends living together." He took a slow step forward. "Tell me, Kate, how long were you planning to keep this up?" She broke down, covering her face with shaking hands. "I don't know." Nick exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "You know what? It doesn't matter anymore. We're done." Kate looked up, desperation in her eyes. "Please, Nick." But he was already turning away. "Save it," he muttered, walking off without a second glance. That night, Nick packed his things and left. The divorce papers were on the table by morning.